Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome to the NFC Championship, JAKIB Nation. The Philadelphia Eagles are one win away from the Super Bowl, and standing in their way, the Washington Commanders, led by rookie sensation Jayden Daniels. The energy in Philadelphia, the energy at Lincoln Financial Field is palpable. It's electric, and the stakes could not be higher. For the next 90 minutes, we've got you covered with everything you need before kickoff. Buckle up, because this is the biggest game of the season, and it starts right now. Big Sills, how you feeling on this Sunday, brother?
Energized, bro. This is it.
Yep, me too, man.
This is it, dude. I mean, everything you want with legacies, everything you want with things you dreamed of when you were a kid, man. I mean, this is for it. This is the chance to get into a 60-minute ball game to make history. These two next ball games, man, are what players in the NFL strive. There's so many guys that have been guys who have worn gold jackets that have never gotten in this situation. Jalen Hurts and many of the Eagle guys, this is now their second time in 3 years in this position, which is remarkable and awesome. I mean, I love the fact that it's an old school Redskins and Eagles matchup here too. You got two legendary NFL franchises. I think it's pretty cool, man. And I think, again, a lot of drama heading into this. I mean, you couldn't ask. The only thing you could probably ask for, Zander, is probably snow to make the whole thing look really awesome in an old school NFC championship game setting. But this is great, man. Lincoln Financial, great fan base, two great fan bases, one now revived with the Redskin fan base. I love it, man. I'm looking forward to this game today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Sills, I've been using what you said on the Saturday show, and I think you said it on Friday too as well. I've been using it since you said it. This is really where history is made. This is where you tell the stories of teams, of careers, of players, of moments, of things that live in NFL lore forever. And, you know, regular season's fun and divisional rounds are fun and wild cards are fun. This is where you make history as a team and as a player, and where the story of your career is told. And I thought you nailed that perfectly on the Saturday show. And it's really got me fired up for the atmosphere today.
All the rest of that stuff is important build-up to where you are now. All of that is like throwing logs on the fire to get the fire burning, that bonfire going. These next 8 quarters of football is NFL history. You're in the history place now where the league, let me say this. A regular season ball game, many people will always remember, especially Eagle fans with their historical references going back to Miracle in the Meadowlands, what have you, the whole Pisarcik thing. You've got so many great memories. But, man, I'll tell you, man, there's nothing like playoff and championship playoff history. People remember this. Donovan McNabb was defined by his failures in these games, okay? He was defined by this. Was it right to define him by it? Probably not. But at the end of the day, this is what your history of your career will be defined by. This is where Jalen Hurts is right now. What is he going to be? A person that puts his name up to Nick Foles and next to Nick Foles? A place where you start putting your name up next to some of the great players that have played in the NFL playoffs and in the championship games? Or are you going to be a player that is with this distinction? You know, he was a really good player, but he just couldn't get over the hump. Dan Marino wears that tag.
Absolutely.
Okay?
It's no doubt about it, man. You're 100% right.
He's one of the greatest players in the history of the sport.
You're 100% right, man. This is when history is made. This is when you can cement your legacy as a player. So no doubt about it. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here on this NFC Championship Sunday. We're here, everybody. All the hype of the week, and we finally made it to the game. I just want to kind of lay out the show for you guys. We're going to have John McMullen join the show around 2 o'clock. A lot of breaking news right now coming out in Eagle land. Cam Jurgens, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? He was out there practicing. Then they sent him back to the locker room, and Landon Dickerson was taking snaps. But they've officially released the inactive list, and Cam Jurgens is active on the field. So we will see whether he plays. We'll get the update from John McMullen. What is Sills doing over here?
Hold on. He went back into the locker room. Hold on.
Right,
Hold on. Okay. I'm ready to go. Let's go. All right?
That very well might be what's happening. That very well might be what's happening. Now, Landon Dickerson was taking some snaps on the field. So, look, a lot of conflicting reports about this right now. I'm waiting to hear from John. I just sent him a text. He's going to join the show in about 23 minutes from now. So, we will get the update on Cam Jurgens when he comes in. And as I mentioned, we'll talk to John live from the stadium. He's in the building. Boy, the city is electric today, Sileo. The city is electric, man.
Should be.
Yeah, it should be, man. It's a fun atmosphere down there. We'll talk some storylines, some key matchups in this football game. And there was one thing I heard from Rob Gronkowski on the Fox show today that I want to bring up that I thought was excellent, and I'll pinpoint that a little bit later on in the show. So just your opening thoughts, Sills, and here in this game, and we'll dive into some deeper, and we'll talk to John. But your opening thoughts here as we are now an hour and a half from kickoff.
Boy, I tell you, man, I mean, the storyline for me, and like I told you during the week here, I mean, the Eagles, when healthy, by far have the best roster and probably still in this ball game have the advantages at almost each and every single position going into this game. But the critical people that are banged up for Philly, center, I mean, that's a critical issue. Let's say he plays. How healthy is he going to be in this game? AJ's been banged up. AJ's nursing bad injuries in this game, okay? I mean, you look on the other side, you lose Nakobe Dean. You have injuries and a little bit banged up now on the Q side. Then you look at the Redskins. They lose Daron Payne. They've got their star guard out. This is going to come down once again, in my opinion, to the star players in this game, and that's the quarterbacks and Saquon Barkley and the run game for the Washington Redskins. I think this game is going to be a close football game because of the people that are banged up in this game.
All right.
Everything is a perfect deal. No question about it. I think the Eagles have the massive advantage. We said it last week. What would give the Rams a little bit of a cushion where you kind of leveled out the playing field? You said the weather. I think the injuries have kind of given that same kind of boost to the Washington Redskins. And I'll say this to you too, boy. They are coming into this game with an attitude themselves, okay? They are coming in to this game with an attitude. The Eagles have an attitude. I think this is going to be one whale of a football game.
No doubt about it. Big Seal should be a big one, man. And that loss to Daron Payne, you just mentioned, star players are going to have to make plays today. Well, that's a big loss for the Washington Commanders in that run defense in terms of slowing down Saquon Barkley. There was a stat that came out last night. Their efficiency on first down when Daron Payne is in is top of the league, best in the league this year. When he's not in on first down, it's near bottom of the league. So that really just should open up some things for Saquon Barkley to be able to get this run game going early.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, they struggled all year long stopping the run. I mean,
they're not a good run defense.
In the late 20s when it comes to stopping the run. So they've had issues all year long. They have gotten better over the last month and a half because I think the team has played a lot better. And again, Zander, this is going to come to those two linebackers that they have, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. I think those are the stars, the players. And I believe the Redskins have the advantage because of Dean not being out there. They have the advantage with those two star players there at the linebacker position. You're going to have to get a gigantic game from those guys. Now, I will say this to you. If Landon Dickerson does have to go over and play center, I mean, Tyler Steen, a backup, going versus their backup defensive tackle, that's kind of a wash for me. So, again, there's no advantage. If Dickerson has to be the center today, is there really an advantage that Daron Payne's out? I don't think so. I think that's a wash. So we'll see. Again, let's get out there and play 60. I think the injuries are going to play a factor. To what level, I don't know. Jalen Hurts, his injury and his mobility, that is going to be the number one watch in the first quarter, in my opinion, Zander. How he's able to move. This is a guy in the first two playoff games has taken 12 sacks and knocked his team out of playoff position. Look, I love Marcus Hayes from the Inquirer. He's come on our program numerous times. He fought back on me on sacks. I think Jalen Hurts takes his team out of out of field position, and also he takes them out of position to kick field goals when we're talking about putting points on the board. Look what he did last week. He turned the ball over with possession, gave 2 points because he took a safety. His mobility is going to be key in this ball game.
No doubt about it. And we're going to get into some key matchups, Big Sellers. I just want to kind of recap how we got here, right? Let's look at these two teams. Eagles go 14-3. Some turmoil early in the year in the bye week. Big Sills is calling for what's going on in Eagle land at 2-2 coming out of the bye. Then they go on a crazy winning streak. They're 14-3. NFC East champs, number 2 seed, and a playoff wins versus the Packers and the Rams. The Commanders went 4 wins last year. New owner, new coach, new quarterback. They go 11-6 this year with the number 6 seed, and they knock off the Bucs and the Lions. And there's no doubt about it, Sills. The storyline in this game is Jayden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts. Those are the 2 biggest names in this football game. I know it's a Saquon Barkley show in Philly, but when you get a marquee QB matchup like this, which one of those quarterbacks is better, and that could be a big indicator of the game. But I just want to give you a chance to kind of talk about these 2 teams and how they both ended up here. It's an unlikely NFC Championship matchup, man. It really is.
Well, the Eagles, as they started rolling after week 5, 6, and 7, you started seeing them getting better. But everyone, including myself, I had picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl this year. Washington goes up there and beats the doorknobs off them, man. I mean, they just put the whooping stick to them up there. I mean, they beat them by 14 points. I mean, no question about it. And in my opinion, I think Washington is more battle-tested for this championship game. They had to go and take the Bucs on, and then they had to go and beat Detroit. I mean, you had the number 1 seed in the NFC. Then you took on a team that beat both Detroit and the Eagles, and you beat them. This kid, Jayden Daniels, is the best player right now. Could you name me another quarterback in the NFC this year that you thought played better than him? Golf? Sure, okay. Yes, the top-rated offense. But would you put Daniels number 2 this year in the NFC? Name me another quarterback in the NFC that you thought carried his team or was more important to his team. And we've been saying it all week long. This guy plays like the guy up in Buffalo, man. Yeah. He carries his football team. And where I would say he was better than Darnold this year, this guy didn't melt like a candle in the playoffs. This guy elevated his game in the playoffs, whereas Sam Darnold in that last season game against the Lions, you saw some of the cracks starting to come out with the Vikings, and then you obviously saw it in the first playoff game where they absolutely melted down. This kid's elevated his football game. Hey, no by the way, he is the best player in this game at quarterback, and there's no way to look any other way about it. He is an electric football player. And right now, he's probably a top 5 player.
He's playing. There's no doubt about it. He's playing unbelievable, and he's a huge storyline coming into this game. I don't necessarily disagree with really anything that you said. What this guy has done, you could make an argument, Sills, as the best in the NFC because of the talent he's working with. You know what I mean? I mean, you talk about Jared Goff. Okay, Jared Goff has a stacked offensive line, a stacked wide receiver core, 2 great running backs. He's got a lot of pieces around him. Jayden Daniels does not, and what he's done with this team has been pretty unbelievable. Sills, I want to go to the next thing I was thinking about, key storylines in this game. Obviously, we just talked Jalen Hurts versus Jayden Daniels. How about Dan Quinn versus Nick Sirianni? Rob Gronkowski on the NFL Fox show this morning brought up a great point, and he mentioned turnovers, and then he said one of the other key factors I think could be a determining factor in this game is who's the better coach team in the last 4 minutes of the game, right? Who has the advantage in those last 4 minutes? These are 2 of the most aggressive coaches in the NFL. Obviously, both have led these teams to great success this season. How do you see that coaching matchup in this game?
I tell you, because I look at Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's got more of a presence with his football team and what he's going to do with one side of the football, and that is he's going to be coaching up the defensive side of the ball. On the other hand, you got a guy, Nick Sirianni, who's kind of like the overseer of everything and really doesn't have a lot to say. That's Kellen Moore's offense, okay? Now, is there influence in there by Nick in certain situations in the ball game? We saw throughout the year, yes. But at the end of the day, this is a very one-dimensional football team in the Eagles. Now, it's a one-dimensional football team that hasn't been stopped yet. I mean, they're not a passing offense. They're very limited in the passing game because of the quarterback, whereas you have a guy over with Dan Quinn that does this. It's almost the reverse, Zander, of what they do in Los Angeles with the Rams. Sean McVay handles the entire offensive side of the football. Then he just lets Chris Shula or whomever, Wade Phillips in the past, or anyone that's ever been in the past that has been his coordinator, let him run it. That's kind of what Dan Quinn is doing to Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury is running that offense with Brian Johnson, and those guys handle that side of the football. Dan Quinn is over on the other side of the football, and they have a great dynamic. I mean it, man. You've got a bunch of NFC Championship guys, rings on his finger, and then you turn around and you look what Kingsbury has done with some of the best quarterbacks that are in the NFL and some of the top drafted quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm telling you, it's a well-coached football team. I like their coaching staff a lot. Now, look, Vic Fangio, in my opinion, has had a better year than what Dan Quinn has had. However, Dan Quinn is also a Super Bowl defensive coordinator who has won a Super Bowl ring when he was in Seattle. Yep. He's got 3 division titles, and he also has on his finger, he also has 3 NFC Conference Championship rings. This guy knows what he's doing. He helped build the Legion of Boom up in Seattle with Gus Bradley, knows what he's doing. This is going to be such a great coach game. I do think this, though, Zander. I think Dan Quinn has got to stay aggressive on 4th down in this ball game. Yeah. I don't think the Eagles have to be over aggressive in this game. I think Washington has to be aggressive in this football game for them to be able to win this game. They've got to stay committed on 4th down. They've got to, and do me a favor. Don't do any of that shit that you did in game 1 where you went for it. And you went for it on your own 35. That's not going to make it happen here because the Eagles will capitalize on that.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that Gronkowski point in the last 4 minutes was so clutch. You remember back to the game that the second game with the Eagles versus Commanders. Sills, we had a commanding lead late in that game. Jayden Daniels threw an interception in the last 4 minutes of that game, and it looked like the Eagles could seal the deal. And then you saw how it unfolded. The Commanders stormed back after the Eagles didn't capitalize on the turnover there. So no doubt about it. Sills, one other thing here. Okay, I want to ask you about, and we're going to talk to John coming up at 2 p.m., so he'll be in around 10 minutes. It's in Philadelphia today, okay? And I don't always put as much stock in that as I think other people do, but I do on a day like today. This city is fired up. This stadium is going to be loud. It's going to be electric. The energy is going to be higher than it's been all year. And with a rookie quarterback, with a first-year head coach, and not a first-year head coach overall, but a first-year coach in Washington, how big of a factor could that be in today's game? Maybe for either team. If you're the Commanders and you can come out and shut them up, maybe you use that as momentum for them. But if the Birds are able to get going early, man, that crowd is going to be loud.
Here's the one thing where I'll say this to you. It's a division opponent. You've seen them already. This is the 3rd time you've seen them this year. Very rarely do you get an opportunity to see somebody 3 times, Zander. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and plus we're talking about what, an hour and 58 minutes to D.C., between Philly and D.C. We're not talking about really a lot of travel here. You got on a bus and you got down here and you got into the football stadium. So I don't really think that there's going to be that much of an advantage until you step into the building. That's where you're going to feel it. That's where there's fan bases around the NFL that everyone knows. Green Bay, Buffalo, the Steelers, even the Niners. I know people won't believe that, but when you go to the Niners, they've got a great fan base. So again, Philadelphia has that fan base when you roll in. You'll feel it. You'll know it. But again, I think the players on the Commanders have understood this. They play each and every single year, 2 times a year. So that, to me, if it was somebody else, Zander, I think that's more of an issue, like if it's the Vikings or it's somebody like Detroit. I think because it's the Redskins, I think there's just a common foe there.
No doubt about it. Let's get into some key matchups here, Stills. Let's start with the Eagles offense and the Commanders defense. All right, there's a couple of things I see here that stick out to me in this game. Jalen Hurts versus the Commanders pass rush. All right, I think it's big because how will it affect his mobility? How does that change your game plan? And then off of that, right, if he doesn't have the knee or if he can't run quite as effectively as we're used to seeing, What's that mean for the Eagles receivers going up against the Commanders secondary? Devontae Smith needs to have a big game. A.J. Brown needs to have a big game. Dallas Goedert needs to have a big game. Those are some of the things I see when I think about the Eagles offense versus the Commanders defense. What jumps off the page to you thinking about that matchup?
Got to stop the run, man. That passing game does not frighten me. And I'll tell you, he hasn't had a plus 30 completion, 30-yard completion in 8 ball games. He doesn't frighten me throwing the ball. You get that run game going and you get that slant going with AJ. If AJ is healthy, that slant's – you can't have a guy like that with 3 catches, 24 yards in 2 games. You just can't have that. And I think because he's injured. So what does that mean now with mobility? If Hurts has no mobility in the pocket, he's already limited with pocket presence as it is. That could be a problem. Dante Fowler has had a better year than any edge rusher the Eagles have on that team. He's got 10.5 sacks. He's had a great year for them. Nobody on Philly has a better pass rushing guy on their side of the ball than what the Commanders, Redskins have. They've been able to get after. Their edge guys have to set the edge. And I'll say something else here too, Zander. If his mobility is limited, I mean, now you know where he is in the pocket. He doesn't move around very well in the pocket. That's why he's got 45 sacks in 16 games. Get this. What I'm bringing up here is not a thesis. This is what he's done. Remember that number that Sal Palantonio said to you? Josh Allen has had the ball in his hand probably 500 times in the pocket. He's got 14 sacks on the year.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts has been in the pocket 360 times and has taken 45 sacks. You tell me who's got better pocket presence.
No doubt about it. And, you did mention the edge rushers, and I'll just tip the cap real quick to Nolan Smith. I know he hasn't had quite the season, but 9.5 sacks in the last 14 games. So he's kind of come on since that bye. Yes. Impressive stuff there. I want to stick here on the offense, though. One more thing. All right. Let's talk trenches, Big Sills. Let's just assume for a second. I know Cam Jurgens is not on the inactive list, but there's some reports right now that he's going to be out there, but he's not going to be the starter. So let's just assume for a second that Landon Dickerson slides over to center. You slot in Tyler Steen at the left guard position. Can you explain to the people why that's bigger than just sliding a name over? What other things does a center do in the game? Calling out protection, some of the things at the line of scrimmage, even run blocking, right? Landon Dickerson's, how many times is he pulling on the line to make a run block? What does that change for this offensive line if you don't have Cam Jurgens out there today?
Boy, I'll tell you, man, that's your quarterback of your O-line. He's the guy that sets protections. He's also setting odd and even. What I mean by odd and even, if there's a man head up, that's an odd front. If you have a guy at the two guard position, that's going to be an even front. What I'm going to suggest, if the Commanders do this and they see Landon Dickerson, how many snaps this year in a game situation has he had where he's snapping the ball back in shotgun? How much are you going to go shotgun with poor snaps too? Are you going to go more under center, or are you going to go more in shotgun because he hasn't done it? I'd put a guy on his nose and I would see how he handles snapping the ball. Right. Zander is one of the hardest things on the planet if you haven't done it. Now, this kid was a star player at Alabama and Florida State when he was younger. Yeah. This was his job, okay? So we're not talking about somebody who's never done it. We're just talking about somebody who hasn't done it in about 3 years in a level game like this of an NFC Championship game.
No doubt.
My question's not going to be really so much with Landon. My issue is going to be communication down the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Tyler Steen. You got Becton, and you got the two guys on the edge. Remember something. The center calls out protections. What kind of communication are you going to have with the 5 guys in there too? Are you going to have some missed blocks? Who's identifying the blitzer? Is that going to be more on Hurts?
Right.
Having to identify. So more pressure may be put on Jalen when it comes to pass protections if Dickerson is the center.
Great breakdown there by Big Sills. Big Sills, one other thing too is, and I'm not doubting Landon Dickerson's ability, but Cam Jurgens is one of the best pulling centers in the NFL when it comes to getting downfield, especially in the run game. This is a running team. This team has thrived with the run all year long. Now, again, I'm not doubting Landon Dickerson's abilities and physicality, but getting 10, 15 yards upfield is a different beast, right? And he's not the same size or as mobile as Cam Jurgens. So that could become a factor in this game as well.
Remember what I said at the beginning of the year? One of my bold predictions was that Cam Jurgens was going to make the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
And he did make the Pro Bowl because I thought it was going to be an upgrade because of him being younger. Now, obviously, the brain, the savant that Jason Kelce was, and being able to identify where protections is, the communication he all had, obviously everyone knows that's legendary, but it has been an upgrade. Look at the running backs year he's had. I mean, you don't get 2,005 rushing yards if you've got a shitty center. That's not happening.
Right.
And like you said, him getting up on the second level, slipping, scooping to get up on those linebackers. I'll tell you this too, Zander. That made it very easy for Bobby Wagner and also now Frankie Louvu. If you can't get that center up there on them linebackers, that makes their job a lot easier in run game and stopping the run. Because if he's a little bit, you've got to take flatter steps. When you're a guard, you don't have to take as flatter steps as you do when you're a center there, because you've got to get flat and then up. When you're a guard, you're going more towards the top of the line of scrimmage than you are going back. So there's everyone thinks you can just go, well, let me put a right guard over at left. That's not how that works. Different hands, different feet, different techniques. It's not as easy as people think.
And it's different calls, right? You're calling different types of runs.
Completely different calls. Something that he hasn't done. Again, that's where I go back to communication. How is the communication going to be for him if he has to take the majority of the snaps there?
All right, I want to remind everybody. I want to welcome everybody in here who's watching the show. It's the NFC Championship game, everybody. Get fired up. I need to hear from some of the great people in the chat. What I'm going to do today on the pregame show is I'm going to do a chat check-in after we wrap it up. All right, I'm going to go 90 minutes today. Me and Sills will be out of here in around 75 minutes, and I'm going to go to the chat. I'll take some of your comments, all the super chats. I need to hear from the great people of JAKIB Nation. How are we feeling, everybody? We'll have John McMullen in just a few minutes here, joining from Lincoln Financial Field. It's the NFC Championship game, baby. I am fired up. Big Sills, we just talked Eagles offense. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball real quick before we get John in here. What key matchups stick out to you? Obviously, I think Eagles pass rush, versus that Commanders O-line, and better yet, versus Jayden Daniels. How can you contain him and get to him? Then you think of that secondary. How do you line up with Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Zach Ertz, a couple of their key players in there, and then stopping, obviously, Brian Robinson in their run game? What do you see from the Eagles' defensive standpoint coming into this game?
Linebackers are key again in this ball game, and also to the triangle with Jordan Davis and with Jalen Carter. I mean, if you're Washington, how are you blocking that guy?
Right.
Okay. How are you blocking Jalen Carter in this ball game? If you let that guy wreck your ball game, which he easily can, in my opinion, that is going to be the key to watch in how they play Washington. You cannot, in my opinion, let Jalen Carter wreck that ball game. Do maybe some fan blocking. You're going to have to do all kinds of different things because you've lost your top offensive guard too. You're going to have to do a ton of stuff, maybe run stretch plays on this. But the key for that Eagle defense is interior pressure. Every quarterback, including Tom Brady, dude, perimeter pressure is one thing. Daniels has the key knack for getting out in the perimeter and being able to move. But what's the one thing that stops every quarterback? Internal pressure. Up the middle pressure. That was one of the Achilles that you could always get with Brady and every other quarterback. Carter will be a massive factor in the timing routes for Washington, in my opinion, today.
Let's go to John McMullen, and we might have some internet issues with everything going down at the link, so we'll keep it brief, but we do want to hear from John McMullen live from Lincoln Financial Field, joining us now here on the JAKIB Pregame Show on NFC Championship Game Weekend. Johnny Mac, are you out there? Or are you with us, brother?
I'm here for now, obviously. A lot of extra people here, so come on, Eagles, get this Wi-Fi fixed out. But anyway, hopefully we'll last as long as we can. Stories Cam Jurgens pregame came out for pregame warm-ups. Warm-ups was working out in front of Howie Roseman and Tom Hunkley, who's the Eagles head trainer. then he walked off, and Landon Dickerson started taking the first team reps at center, Tyler Steen at left guard. All indications are Cam is not going to start. They did not make him inactive. However, that means he is active. Indication he's going to be an emergency option if needed in the worst case scenario. But it looks like Landon Dickerson is going to be the starting center for the Philadelphia Eagles.
How about this, John? The communication would be my concern going now forward here. Are you going to do more under center? Are you going to do more in shotgun here? Not that Landon can't do it, but then again, you're bringing a new guy into your left with Tyler Steen coming in. What's your biggest concern? Mine would be the communication. And if I'm Washington, John, I'm going to drop a guy on the nose, and I'm going to test him and snapping that football, either in shotgun or if Jalen's under center because he hasn't played it all year. And I'm going to test his ass out right away. How do you think this thing's going to play out here, them going to Landon at center?
Yeah, honestly, I'm more worried about Tyler Steen at left guard. Yeah. Landon's such a good center. He was an All-American center at Alabama, very cerebral player, tremendous when it comes to protect. Look, I think he'd be one of the best centers in football if he played center. So not as much concerned about that position as I am the downgrade in left guard, where Landon Dickerson's one of the best left guards in football. So I think that's where the drop-off comes for the Eagles. And Tyler, when he has played this season, he's been okay as a run blocker. The issues have been in pass protection, so I think you have to keep an eye on that. Now, Deron Payne is not playing for Washington, so that's a big break, but he's more their run defender. Jonathan Allen missed a lot of the season, but he's back, and he's had 8 pressures in the playoffs. So that's what I would be concerned about. Jonathan Allen against Tyler Steen on the interior of the offensive line.
John, give us a look. Give us a live atmosphere, man. What's it like down? I know there's probably not many people inside yet, but getting there, driving through the city. What did you see, John, coming in? You got to have some story from the great people of Philadelphia who are flooding the streets as they prepare for the NFC Championship game in Philly.
Well, they got, specifically, it was a lot more difficult to get in. I get here very early to beat the traffic. I usually get here early enough to where it's not an issue, but it was the exit was all the way backed up on I-76. So I think a lot of people who don't have tickets are here just to party in the parking lots and have that kind of fun for what is becoming a regular occurrence. The third NFC Championship game in 8 years here in South Philadelphia. So, obviously everybody's hyped up. Fox Sports is here. For our wrestling fans, Zander, Dan, Bree, Bella is here, Eagles fans. So, the stars are out. Tom Brady's here for Fox, obviously. So, it's the NFC Championship game.
Absolutely. John, just tell me, though, there's Josh Harris signs. You see Josh Harris signs out in the parking lot tailgating. Please tell me you saw him out there.
I see a decent amount of red, to be honest. More Commanders fans. Now, it's still very early.
They got in the stadium. You escape the links, the parking lots at the link. They can't hang out there, man. They're in the stadium.
Oh yeah, well they probably don't want to be berated, so they're getting in early. But there is a little bit, certainly more than last week with the Rams. Packers traveled pretty well, so there were a decent amount of cheeseheads. But early on, more Commanders fans than I would have expected, to be honest.
John, what can you give us, man? Update here.
Andrew, let me ask him one
question
about AJ. Hey, John, 3 catches, 24 yards in the first 2 playoff games. Tell me your level of concern with him when it comes to his health in this game. I know it's the war of attrition with him right now, and I know he's played a lot of football, John, and I know that he's nursing a lot of stuff. But do you think he's more of a decoy now, or do you think that they're going to try to get that slant going in this ball game? Because, again, I mean, he just has not played well and he's not had the opportunity to play well in the playoffs. I mean, drop pass he had, which was big. I mean, how do you look at AJ in this game?
Well, I look at the whole passing game as, ineffective so far in the playoffs. Certainly AJ had not dropped a pass all season until last week. So, part of that was the snow and he slipped and all that. But typically you don't expect him to drop any footballs. So, yeah, that part was a disappointment. But the Eagles are throwing the ball 15 to 20 times a game. I mean, there hasn't been a huge need for a passing game to this point. I think the question is unanswered. If they do need the passing game, will it be there? Can they flip the switch? I don't know. They did it against Pittsburgh. We talked a lot. They haven't had to do it. I think they'll certainly lean on Saquon Barkley to start. And we'll see if Washington's able. Remember, Deron Payne is out, their best run defender up front. So that's going to impact them. So I think the Eagles come into this game saying, what got us here? The best running game in the NFL, the best defense in the NFL, and that's what they're going to lean on. Interesting with Cam Jurgens, this injury is kind of hidden the fact that we're all still waiting to see what Jalen Hurts looks like as well. Going to be wearing a brace on that left knee. We'll see how that impacts his mobility. Does that make it easier for Washington to deal with Saquon Barkley because they don't have to worry about Jalen Hurts pulling the football on the back end? Maybe not. We're going to see how close.
We lose Johnny Mac there for a second. Let me see if I can get you. Oh,
There he
Johnny,
is.
I got you back. I think you're good. I think you're back now, John. You cut out there for a second, John. Just confirming you're with me, John. I got you. Yeah, I don't have John right now. Give me a second here. We'll reconnect with John McMullen here from Lincoln Financial Field. We had him good, and then the internet doesn't hold. Let me see if I can reconnect with John, and we'll get him. I do want to hear. It's interesting what he just said there about the offense, and I want to get him to give me if there's any sort of update on the game plan. I mean, I know you're sticking to your run game, and that's your identity coming in, but if you don't have the +1 in the run game, you must have some different ideas offensively in this football game if you're Kellen Moore to try and overcome that, right?
How about this too, Zander? Now think about what you're going into this game with. So you don't have one of your top inside linebackers, and now you don't have your center playing in the game. I mean, two essential people that are part of your run game and your run defense are not playing in this ball game. I think that's a significant loss that you have there with those two. I mean, that's a big-time deal. I mean, as well as Kobe Dean played, I mean, he's essential in that run game. And Cam Jurgens has been a factor, big-time factor in the Eagle run game. You lose those two players, and people just assume you've got the best run game still in the NFL. I'm not sold on that, man. I want to see these guys working together here because I don't know, Zander, I don't think you can just replace guys 48 hours out from an NFC Championship game like that. Things are going to be smooth sailing. I just don't, man. You can't call yourself. Could you really think about calling yourself the best defense in the NFL when you lose a guy with 120 tackles? You got a corner that's banged up? I'm not sure you can. How about your offensive line? Now you're bringing in a backup at left guard, and you're bringing and having to move. Look what Tooney did from the Chiefs. Remember you said this? They put Tooney out at left tackle. Yep. He was getting run around out there, and that's the all-pro starting guard.
That's so true.
And they moved him out, and they were getting home on him last week. So that's not that easy to replace, even with, John said with Landon Dickerson, even with the fact that you have a highly skilled guy in Dickerson. Tooney's a highly skilled guard, and he got ran around last week.
Yeah, a little bit different moving, I think, to center than the outside, obviously, with the tackle. Do you?
I think it's tougher to play center. You got
the one caveat is that Landon at least does have experience. It's not like he's never snapped a football before. You know what I mean? So he has.
I don't know if Tooney's ever played out there at tackle.
But I think your comp is good. I think I certainly understand what you're saying. What do you make of Cam Jurgens? John said He's up, not on the inactive list, but they don't think he's going to start the game. It is going to be Landon. What do you think of that? What typically does that mean when a player is not inactive? And it's like, hey, I'm just a fan. I'm not knocking Cam Jurgens, okay? It's a fucking NFC Championship. If you're on that field, you should be ready to go.
What do you think that means?
I don't know. I'm coming to you.
He's going to wait and see how the cortisone or whatever shot they gave him affects him, and if it loosens up the muscles for him to be able to get back out there. That's what it's going to be. They're waiting to see if he – now, I find it kind of hard. It's cold. I can't think his back is going to loosen up, but they're waiting to see if that medicine and the injection that he took probably – takes effect and makes his back feel a little bit better. By the way, too, man, I'll tell you, I'd rather have Tyler Steen and Landon Dickerson in there if I'm going to get a 40% Cam Jurgens and he can't bend over and he can't snap that ball. Can you imagine having horrible snaps right now going over Hurts' head? We don't need to see that. I'd rather have a healthy guy out there right now and take my swings with that than have a guy who's not healthy at all being able to go out there and play center, dude. That's one of the tougher positions in the NFL to play is center. Setting protection, snapping the ball, making a step. Dude, that's a tough-ass ask.
Yeah, we're going to get John McMullen back. He just texted me, so he should be back up in a second. Sills, I want to close out one of the segments. We didn't finish before John. I want to go to X Factors, all right? There's a couple X Factors in every game, and we'll have a fun hypothetical at the end of the show here where we'll give you predictions, and not just game predictions, but you know what? Before we do that, I think we have John coming back in. So let me get to John, and then we'll go to X Factors right when we're not going to have John probably for long. So I just want to see if he connects. Here he is. Let me get him up here now. John McMullen joining us again here on the JAKIB Pregame Show. Johnny Mac, I want to get right into it because I don't know how long your internet will hold. We talked about Jalen Hurts and that injury. Are you expecting anything different in the offense, John? I know they got here on the running attack and the defense, but if you don't have that +1 in the run game, John, you got to have at least some different concepts, some different plans for Kellen Moore and the offense in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm getting like one every third word. All
right, John, that's all right. We'll let you go, brother. We'll try and catch up with you.
As far as Jalen Hurts, and he is wearing a brace, pretty significant.
He's buffering. Let me get
John. That's okay. All good.
Yeah, I don't want. John, that's good, man. We appreciate you doing it. I know the Wi-Fi is not holding strong in there. So let's go to our X Factors, man, in the game. I wanted to hear from John there, but that's all right. We'll try and connect with him as soon as possible. Sills, a couple X Factors for you. Give me a couple on the Eagles offense and a couple on the defense here in this football game.
I want to see what Goddard's health is. Goddard is a major part of the run game, too, and setting the edge with guys. I mean, that's going to be a major factor in this game, too. What is he going to be like in the pass game? How are the linebackers for the Redskins going to cover him? And what type of health does he have, as I said, going into this game? I think that's going to be an essential factor here. By the way, once again, on the other side, Nolan Smith, pressure. The Eagles have to get pressure, but they have to get controlled pressure. And what I mean by that is, man, you got to get internal pressure and you've got to set the edges. I'm not saying this. I don't care if Josh Sweat or Nolan Smith get a sack today. But what you can't let happen in this game, you can't let Jayden Daniels get out in the perimeter and just start to wreak havoc on your zone, because those guys are playing too high safety, and you got guys playing off the ball. Right. My other guy for the Redskins, Terry McLaurin, you can't wait like you did in game one to get going with 4 minutes left in the ball game and the game was out of reach. You've got to be a factor in this game. How is Vic going to play that? You've got a lot of game tape, Zander, ton for both teams. What and how are you going to manipulate those game films to where you're going to show something different? Are you going to run some jet sweeps? Are you going to do some things to try to get some people open? Are you going to are you going to throw the football a little bit more? They have one of the better pass defenses, but I think, and I've told you this, I think that number is skewed because people have ran all over them all year long. That run game to me, again, Zach Bond, Oren Burks, Davis, and Carter, those guys, that's the game. That's the game. If they get Robinson going and they get, by the way, keep an eye on Austin Eckler. Let me say this to you about Austin Eckler. I covered him with the Chargers. And if you look at his numbers over the last 5-6 years, he's one of the highest producing touchdown guys in pro football is Austin Eckler. This guy is a really good football player, and he is a healthy guy heading into this ball game. Keep an eye on him.
And in the pass game, so with no Nakobe Dean, that's the right matchup. Him on Oren Burks.
Absolutely. And if I'm Daniels, I use him a lot because he is a great pass-catching running back. I like him. If I were to pick one guy in this ball game as a guy who could make an impact in this ball game, who flies under the radar, it could be Austin Eckler.
No doubt about it. Sills, what do you think of special teams coming into this game? You think that could play a big factor in this one?
Okay, well, let's do this. How do you feel about Elliott going into this ball game?
Uncertain, I think, would be the best word, where you feel like that is a little bit. You know, with Elliott Sills, this is what I feel. I feel as though he's making the hard kicks, the clutch kicks. You know, he had two big kicks in the second half of the game last week, and then he misses like the point after. So it's like some of the routine ones you think is where I get a little nervous, but I do feel like in the clutch moment, if I need it from 38, he's got to hit it. I think he's going to hit it.
Do you hold your breath when he's out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that what you want to
put
do?
It mildly, yes.
Okay. That's not really where I want to go with my kicker if I need to win a ball game at the end of the game. Hey, I'm holding my breath. I mean, you know, I just saw somebody bring up another name too, man. Keep an eye on Zach Ertz in this game.
Yes, no doubt about it. He's a red zone.
Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he's a beast in the red zone. No doubt about it. All right, Sills, here we go. Let's get into some predictions and some bold takes for the game. All right, we're going to give our score predictions more toward the end of the show. I want to have a bold player prediction.
You'll do super. We'll we're
going to do supers. I have a fan interaction segment, so we're going to do that in the fan interaction segment here after our bold predictions.
Good.
All right, bold prediction. Who will be the MVP of today's NFC Championship game?
This is not really much of a reach here for me because, you know, we predicted this kid to have a great year. The man, the myth, the legend, who will put his name next to Doug Williams as one of the greatest players in Redskin history. Jayden Daniels will be the most valuable player today in the NFC Championship game, and he will be hoisting and holding the George Halas Trophy.
All right, I'm going on the other side of you, and I'm going right to the Eagles, and I'm going right to the quarterback. You started the show, and you said this is a game this quarterback better play well and make some plays. My man Jalen Hurts, you know, I had an Eagles hat to wear on today's show. My man Jalen Hurts pulls up in the black Kango, and I said, oh, God, I got to throw out the Eagles hat and break out the black Kango. Last time Jalen Hurts showed up in a Kango. 25 of 32, 290 yards, and 3 touchdowns with a commanding win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Jalen Hurts is today's MVP of the game in the NFC Championship game, baby.
Look at what somebody just posted. We're everywhere now around the nation. Look over at Big Sills' X account right now. Somebody's sitting in his living room right now watching the show, and he's sitting there on his TV watching Big Z and Big Sills for the NFC Championship game.
I love it. Absolutely great stuff. You know, no response to my prediction of Jalen Hurts being the MVP of today's game.
Jalen Hurts being the MVP of today. Was he going to run for 140 yards? He ain't going to throw. Here's my. I'll wait because I want to see what you do with your with where you go with this. So I'm going to wait here. But Jalen Hurts, how many games this year do you think Jalen Hurts has been the MVP of a game?
1.
Okay, and so he's going to turn it on in the NFC title game. Hey, that's my Eagle fan right there. Look at him, folks. He is the face of Philadelphia. He's got the Roo hat on, and that's the face of Philly right there, baby.
Listen, I agree with what you said. If he doesn't play great today, I don't think the team wins the game. So my prediction and my thought on the game is tied to the quarterback stepping up and having a good football game. If you don't have a good football game from your quarterback, you think we're going to a Super Bowl?
You see what he's doing here? He just put that guy on the firing line. He just said, hey, it's either execution or execution.
No, listen, I mean it, though. You can't get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl if your quarterback's not going to step up and make some plays. If he doesn't have the knee in this game, he's got to make a big throw. If he does have the knee, he's got to convert a big first down. He has to make plays in this football game to capitalize on the opportunities that the offense is going to have. And I think it's going to be one of the biggest keys of the game.
You know what, Zander? That's exactly correct here. This is his moment here, man. I mean,
100%.
This is where, isn't this the time? And all kidding aside, isn't this what we said? There's going to come a time in the playoffs where the quarterback has to do something. Is it that time now?
Well, listen, and the other thing is this. I'm not asking him to beat Josh Allen. I don't mean it like that because he doesn't need to be. We have so many plays, but there's going to be 4, 5, 6 moments in this game. 4, 5, 6 plays to be had in this game that could tip the scales and win you the football game or lose you the football game. Will he make those plays? I think 100% yes. You don't think so? I got him making the plays and winning the football game here.
What if Washington blows out Detroit and then turns around and blows out the Eagles? Whoa! Would that be some story heading into New Orleans?
That would be an unbelievable story.
They beat them by 14.
Their cute little story is ending today, and you know it. I can see the fear in your face. I can see it. I can smell it through my computer screen, Big Sil.
Hey, that team was 100% healthy. I have no problem saying that the Eagles are going to move on. But because they're banged up the way they are in key spots and the way that Washington is playing, I think Washington's playing better than – do you really think the Eagles are playing better than Washington right now in the playoffs?
I don't think they're playing better than him right at this very moment, but I think that scale can tip at any given second.
Okay. Well, they're playing better football right now, and I think they're the hotter team, and that's why I'm going Washington Redskins today. NFC. Hey, did you see my friend? I posted.
Okay, when we win by 2 scores, are you going to be a grump on the postgame show?
No. Oh, wait. Let's get to the postgame show, Junior. You got a game to play first. I wouldn't be counting the 60 minutes and then putting it in your back.
Take your bets. Will Big Sills be a grump on today's postgame show after Jalen Hurts lights up the Commies defense?
92 net passing yards in playoff so far for the guy. And there's your MVP, folks.
All right, let's do some over-unders. All right, I'm going total yards. I'm not letting you go into this.
Oh, you know what he does? He's going to go total yards so it makes Hurts look better.
No, I'm not letting you do any of that crap. Hurts total yards in the game. I'll set it myself at 225. You got over or under total yards in the game.
Let's see something here. I got to get 145 passing and 45 rushing. If you can't rush, it's over anyway. I'm under. I got him at 190 total yards.
Wow, I'm going to go over. I think Jalen Hurts has a big game today. He throws the ball effectively, moves the ball through the air, and has a big game. Look, I think we need it. I know Sills is laughing at me. I truly believe we need a damn game from Jalen Hurts in this one. I'm
looking at the top rope right now. If this guy doesn't come through today, I'm looking at the top rope for about 6 freaking months. Go high.
That top rope can't handle Big Sills. Are you kidding me? That thing will snap. Eagles sacks. All right. Over under 4.5 sacks for the Birds in this game.
4.5 sacks for the Birds.
Remember, they're out Sam Cosmi. Jalen Carter's been wreaking havoc on everybody.
I'm going to say under 4.5. I like the number 4 though. I think it's 4, Zander. They get 4, but I'm gonna go under on the 4.5.
All right, let's go.
Because listen, if they get home 5 or 6, 7 times,
game's
a blowout.
Yeah, Game's a blowout. I agree 100%. That's why I said it at 4.5. I said, if you go over that, I think we're going to win. If you don't go over that, it could be a game here in the fourth quarter. If you're the Commanders, the goal in this game is get to a fourth quarter game. If you get it similar to the Rams, right? You said that last week. If you get it to a fourth quarter game, they're going to have a shot. Let's go to another player who I think is going to be a key in this game. Okay. And he hasn't been for the first two games, and rightfully so. You've given him some shit for it. A.J. Brown, receptions and yards. I'm going to set it at 7 receptions and 75 yards. Over, under on either of those.
Okay, I just wrote down 6 catches for 80.
Oh, wow. So you're going to go under on the receptions, but over on the yards.
Yeah, so I got 6 catches for 80 yards in the ball game.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think A.J. Brown goes over 100 in this game. I don't think you can get to a Super Bowl with your star wide receiver having 3 games of really not making an impact. Let's be real. He wasn't an impact in either of the first 2 playoff wins. 3 catches for 24 yards in 2 games is not a lot, folks.
Let's get to the real guy here, and I'll give you the real guy here in a minute, okay, and where you guys are going to win the ball game if you do win the ball game. Go ahead.
Go ahead on what?
Give me another guy.
Devontae Smith.
Okay, Devontae Smith has 4 catches for 56 yards.
All right, let's go Saquon Barkley, and let's go total yards, and let's go 150 on total yards catching and running.
I got 28 carries for 155 yards rushing.
I like that number.
And I've got 45 yards receiving.
Ooh, that's a big number receiving for him. I don't know if he's done that.
It's over 200 total yards he has.
I'm going to go over on Saquon as well. I think he runs all over this freaking team.
Me too. I think, and by the way, if you look at that number and he's at 6 yards a carry, and dude, if you get 6 yards a carry and you sack that kid 7 times, that's a 28-10 ball game, Eagles.
Okay, here we go. This is now I'm going to go with the team over under, okay? Both of these teams have not turned the ball over in the playoffs. Turnovers, half a turnover, over under for each team. What do you got?
I got 2 INTs for Hurts, and I got a fumble for Hurts.
He hasn't thrown a pick in how many games?
I've got 2 INTs for Hurts, and I've got a fumble for Hurts, and I've also have 2 turnovers for Daniels, a fumble, and a interception.
How the hell do you have the Eagles winning this game with 4 turnovers for Washington?
You haven't asked me what I think Daniels is going to do in the game yet.
Or what do you think Daniels is going to do? Let's go there.
I'm going to say 275 yards passing and 68 yards rushing, and I think he has 4 TDs in the game.
4 TDs and 3 turnovers?
He had 5 last time.
We couldn't capitalize. We couldn't capitalize with Kenny.
I said 2 turnovers. I didn't say 4 turnovers.
Oh, I thought you said a fumble and 2 picks.
No. A fumble and 2 picks is for Hurts. For Daniels, I got a fumble and an INT for Daniels, and he's going for 275, 68 rushing, and 4 TDs. People are going 4 TDs. The guy had 5 touchdowns against you last time.
All right, here we go. Game deciding play, okay? Each host, me and Sills, will pick one play that will determine this football game. What do you got, Big Sills?
I've got a pick 6 by Frankie Louvu.
Dude,
taking it back in the fourth quarter to put the Redskins up for good.
I need to cook a Thanksgiving dinner full of crow after this game. This is insanity from Big Sills. Game deciding play. Give me Saquon Barkley on a 65-yard touchdown run like we've seen how many times this year, everybody? It's late. It's the second half. We got a tight NFC title game. And boom! There goes Saquon Barkley again with a dagger in the heart of Dan Quinn and Jayden Daniels as they watch their fairy tale story come to a screeching halt.
Wow, man. I can't wait. This is going to be a great one, man. Once again, I want to show people this, though. The only reason I'm doing this, okay, center's out, new left guard, your middle linebacker or one of your inside linebackers is out, you're banged up at one of your corners, and you're banged up at one of your wide receivers, and your quarterback is wearing a knee brace. Good luck to you. We'll see what happens.
I hear you. I'm not using any excuse. I'll say that right now.
It's not an excuse. It's
There's
reality.
no excuses. And I don't care if Juergens is out. I don't care if you lose Jalen Hurts on the opening drive. I don't care if you lose A.J. Brown. I don't care if Zach Bond goes down. You got 60 minutes still to get into a Super Bowl.
I get it.
You got 60 minutes. You believe everything out on that field today, and you feel good about the outcome if you go out there and leave it all out there. And I think the team is going to do that. All right, so let's go to our fan segment here for 15 minutes. We'll kick it around with the great people of JAKIB Nation. Everybody, let's get some score predictions in the chat. Let's get your MVP of the game. Put it in the chat. We'll go to some of your comments from the great people. Let's start with some super chats here. Abe checks in. Last night, watched Saban on the pivot. Had this realization. Jalen could be the first QB to win a Super Bowl who was coached under Saban. Go Birds.
Nice. Okay. Will Saban... Will he acknowledge him, or will Jalen acknowledge Alabama? I mean, if I were Jalen, I'd think
roll Sooners is what he said.
Yeah, me too, man. I think he should roll with the Sooners, not Bama.
No, he says roll Sooners as a combination of the two. Like roll Tide, but roll Sooners.
Hey, you know what? He was the SEC Player of the Year in that conference, and anybody who's the SEC Player of the Year defense or offense, that's a big time award, man.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Buddy checks in. That's a stupid super chat, buddy. I'm not reading that. Come on, man. Khaled, I'm hearing that he is out. And then he says Juergens is playing LFG. So, Khaled, this was a little bit ago. I know you sent this at the beginning of the show. It does look like he's going to dress. Doesn't look like he's going to start, okay? So that's what's going on there, but we'll see how it all plays out. Brian Pumper checks in. I'm with the rest of the national media. Jayden Daniels and Commandos are a juggernaut. I don't see Hurts leading us to the promised land. I do, Pump. You're going to be eating crow too, Pump.
That's it. That's my boy, Pump. You see my boy send me a picture of his 91 Redskin ring? My boy, one of my former teammates, was a coach on that coaching staff. Bobby DePaul sent me his ring. I posted it.
All right, here's what you should do. You should text Bobby and say, hey, man, you should get that in a box. You know, make sure you clean it up and frame it real nice because you guys aren't going to see another one of those for a long time.
I think in the next 5 years, that kid wins a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. Schmidt-Degler checks in. Let's go, guys. Defense going to have to really step up. Our offense isn't the main thing. Their offense is. We need to pressure the rookie QB and grind it out. This needs to be ugly and nasty. Good take by Schmidt-Degler.
Hey, Schmidt. You know, it's going to be a thing when it's a thing or some shit. I don't know. Whatever that guy says, you know, it's something is a something is a thing is a thing. I don't know. You know, that Jalen Hurtsisms. I'm sure.
It's going to be a bad day for Big Sills and Brian Pumper. Steve Beats checks in. Eckler had 8 for 89 in the first game. We had solid pressure up the middle, and Daniels constantly checked down. It's likely a good thing if Eckler ends up with numbers. I'd rather him than McLaurin. That's actually a good take because McLaurin didn't do anything in the first game versus them.
And McLaurin would eat up big yards down the field, whereas you're talking about checkdowns with Eckler, so it's a great take.
Good stuff there. Man in Black checks in. They want to try to scare us and act like they're on top of the world. They picked the right place to get beat on. Number 4 is soft like ice cream in the heat.
Hey, I will give you guys this, man. I mean, listen, you want to talk shit in the place that shit talks? This is the best place on the planet to do it. Hey, this would
really
be.
Is, man. I love this city, man. I really love that about this
I love
city.
it too. I'm not going to lie to you, man. They embraced verse last week.
Now, listen, nobody talks shit like the great people of Philadelphia. It's just a fact. Nobody talks shit like us.
It's the best it's the best I've ever seen.
No doubt about it. Josh Herman checks in. It's commie territory here in Virginia, gentlemen. I'm the lone Birds fan at the bar, but hey, Green don't run from nobody. Go Birds. Let's go, Herman.
Hey, man, that's cool you're at the bar there, man. Take a picture and post it on my account, Dan Sileo Show. I'd like to see you at the bar. Hey, by the way, anybody, wherever you are, Zander and I would love to see where you're watching our show and also
absolutely.
where you're watching the game from. So if you want to send those out to Jacob and that X account and my X account, I appreciate it because I really love what Pepe did, man. Wasn't that cool, man?
Yeah, that was Dylan. Yeah, our guy Pepe Dylan.
You and the family. That's dope, dude.
Yeah, and one of our great viewers shared today with me a picture from the tailgate of a Philly guy. Let me pull this up. Did you see this, Sileo? You got to see this, man. This is Philadelphia at its finest, the greatest city in the world, the greatest sports city in the world by a country mile. And I love the great people of Philadelphia, born and raised here. And I can't get enough of this photo that he sends me. And now this kid's going viral, of course, but he sent me the picture early in the day. And you can see it. Look at this dude. He's got a fire. He's got the freaking charcoal in the bottom of the cart
Shopping cart
with the pig roasting on the top. I mean, does it get any better than that?
That is so awesome.
It's great.
This is a tailgate over at the stadium?
Yeah, man. This was early this morning, man. This is like 10 a.m., 11 a.m.
Does that look awesome? There is really only one other city that kind of kicks the door with you guys. It's Boston. Outside of Boston, okay. That's the same kind of shit they say up there too.
Oh yeah, Boston is better than Philly now.
I didn't say that.
You might get away with Jayden Daniels as a better quarterback. You're not about to tell me that Boston is a better sports city than Philadelphia.
He's a dope. I never said they're better than them. I said that they're knocking on your door. They're pretty damn good. I've talked sports in both places, and you're both assholes, which I love. Thank you.
Good stuff. Seth Shifley checks in. Cry, Commanders, cry. Sileo, when the Eagles win, you should have to wear a Hurts jersey next show. How you doing?
Hey, a Hurts jersey? They come in extra small, so Big Sills would have to get a specially made one. Look at my boy T-Bone.
T-Bone with a 50. Let's go, T-Bone. He says, all you guys are awesome. Appreciate you. Entertaining talk always. Everything discussed today. Every stat, tendency, throw it all away. Game will be played, then we will know. Who do I think will win? I'm eating Bananas Foster today, a dish created in New Orleans. Let's go, T-Bone. What a great chat by T-Bone.
You're going to be eating crayfish.
Hey, Jalen Hurts loves crawfish. I know that. All those people down south, we used to eat them at every tailgate at Alabama Sills. They have a big table, pour out the crawfish with the corn and the potato. Dude, they were so good. Paul Barbarian checks in. What's up, Paul? Would like to see a couple of scrambles from Jalen and a deep ball early. Push those safeties back and show that Jalen can be a +1 in the running game. This will help set it up for Barkley. The question will be, can they do that, Paul? But good take.
Can he move?
All right.
That'll be the issue, man. Listen, the number one storyline early in this ball game is mobility of Hurts. I mean, then it's going to be the health and how the exchanges are going to go and how the blocking is going to go with Steen and Dickerson in the middle in there. And you're going to take a look at where AJ is in his health issues. So those are going to be all things to keep an eye on going into this ball game. And also, how are the Commanders blocking and stopping Saquon Barkley? The key in this game, how are they going to defend him?
And the comment of the day I'm going to give to Andy Twentyman here, okay? He says, just like Mr. T in Rocky 3, my prediction is pain. Eagles 27, Redskins 17. What a perfect comp, though. Clubber Lang, the new guy on the block who thinks he can knock anybody and everybody out, gets fucking beat down. I love it, Twentyman. Great super chat by Andy Twentyman. Leading into this game, baby. And Sileo is radio silence. Radio silence.
Because you know why? It's time to stop lipping and start hitting.
Hey, you're not wrong about that.
It's time to do some hitting here.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about that one here. Let me get to a couple more super chats. Darth Vader checks in. Nolan Smith leads in sacks and playoff Sills. You're wrong on that. He has played really well.
He has.
Yeah.
He has, but I said that there's been a guy who had
playoffs, though.
What's that?
Karlaftis had 3 sacks last week in Kansas City.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
Maybe Darth is thinking NFC.
Yeah, maybe.
Leading on the NFC playoffs.
It might be close. I actually don't know if Darth is wrong, honestly. He might be right, but I know it's probably close.
Okay, I don't know that number.
Yeah. T-Bone checks in again. Crayfish, don't think so, but I am also eating lobster today, a much more giant, dominating sized crayfish. There you go. Great stuff, T-Bone. Appreciate you, my man. I appreciate the support. Ben Fly checks in. I need a 50 to 70 yarder to Smitty first play. Set that tone, fellas. Eagles 28, Skins 14. Wow.
No. I'll give you my score here in a second here. We'll give you the score here.
Have you altered your score at all from your Saturday prediction?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not.
So you got the same score.
I'm staying right with it because I think that's where we are. I'm sticking right with it. There it is.
Brian Pumper, Jalen Hurts, rent is due.
Rent's due, biatch.
It is. Bob Brown checks in. 37-17 Eagles. Barkley is MVP, which really means Steen Anderson for stepping up huge.
That's a big blowout, Bob. Okay.
Yeah. 2 touchdown there. 2 touchdown win for the Birds. This is a great chat check-in. We appreciate everybody today. Brian Pumper, Zach Ertz, game-clinching touchdown. JD5 is a god. Come on, Pumper.
Hey, Pump, this is going to be a game here, man. I can't wait. Let's go.
No doubt about it. All right, Big Sills. Good stuff. I'm going to read the more chats once I let you.
Whoa.
Go ahead. What do you got?
28-26 Redskins move on to the Super Bowl and win the NFC Championship in a historic first year by Jayden Daniels.
All right, let me ask you a different question. And I appreciate your prediction. You've stuck with it, all right? If the Eagles win the game today, why will they win the game?
Because Hurts had mobility, and he was able to move, and he was able to keep Washington on their heels because he was able to get involved in the run game, and that helped Barkley out. And Barkley's going to dominate the game, but if Hurts can move and be effective in the run game, okay? If he can be effective in the run game, they're going to win the football game.
No doubt about it. Ben Fly says, Sills, can I get to Jahan Dotson?
John Dotson. I like that guy, man.
All right, everybody. All right, this is it, JAKIB Nation. This is it. The Birds are 1 win away from a Super Bowl. Get loud, get ready, fly, Eagles, fly. And Big Sills, great show, brother. I'm going to stick on. I want to read off some of the other super chats we got. I don't want to leave anybody hanging, but great show today, brother. Sit down, settle in. Maybe have your wife make you some wings or something nice for the game and enjoy it, my friend, because I need you in a better mood this week when the Philadelphia Eagles clinch and go on to the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
You got it, brother. I'll see you on the post game. Don't forget, Zander will be with you at halftime also with John McMullen. So, Big Z, everyone, thank you so much. Enjoy the game. NFC Championship game where history is made. We will see you on the post game show.
Great stuff from Big Sills here on the JAKIB Pregame Show as we prep for an NFC Championship game, everybody. I got nerves. My blood is racing right now as we prep for this game. I will get to everybody's super chat. Illuminati, I saw your take. I'm going to try and read them off. It's tough to do, man, on the game day shows because we have obviously a setup of a show and everything. So I created the 15-minute chat segment for this reason. So I'll try and make sure I get to everybody's super chat here. Big C checked in. LFG, Big Sills, and Z. Only team beating in Philly is Philly. Let's go, Big C. I feel good about it, man. Brian Pumper, I have a feeling that this is the Jayden Daniels game. This kid's an unbelievable talent, generational quarterback. His impact is unmatched and undeniable. He's a good player, Brian, but I think his run comes to an end today. Riding the bench, what are some keys to stop Cliff Kingsbury offense? That's a good question there. I'd say you got to get pressure, obviously, riding the bench. I want to see them pinch the edges a little bit. I almost want to say to Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat, don't worry as much about getting home. Set the edges and try and contain him in the pocket, and then you let Jalen Carter go to work in the middle. And I think the number one way to stop a Cliff Kingsbury offense is throw the quarterback off. And if they're able to do that, I think they should be in good shape. Christopher Darker, Dan Quinn gave up 28-3. Never forget. He does have a good, a good collection of accolades, though, as well, Christopher. Got to give him credit for those. Darth Vader says, my boy Jalen Tebow about to pop off, 140 passing, 30 rushing, 1 touchdown. We'll see. You sound like Big Sills, Darth Vader. You sound like Big Sills. There's only 2 things that keep me up at night. This is Brian Pumper. Jalen Hurts' quarterback play and Jayden Houdini Daniels' greatness. Lord, pray for us Eagles fans. We need it. Lord, pray for all of us. We need it regardless, all right? Illuminati says, spy Nolan, Ball on Ertz, keep 5 in the pocket and double 17. That's easier said than done, Illuminati, but that's about as good as you're going to get, man. That's about as good as you're going to get right there. Darth Vader checks in. Run it every play. Don't let Jalen drop back. Be aggressive. 50-plus runs today. Boy, Darth, you're like a Brian Pumper level of don't trust the quarterback. Tony Allen, sick with nerves, but let's go. Jahan Dotson, baby. Come on, man. Come on, Tony. Illuminati, 23-17 Eagles. Barkley goes for 170 and 2 touchdowns. I like that. Good score and good prediction for Saquon Barkley. Lucius the Show checks in. Pick 6 by Cooper to close out the game, 31-17 Birds. A Cooper to Jean. That would be his first interception, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Lucius the Show? That would be his first interception. Dirty D checks in. Pumper, don't watch the game. Then Bud, shut your TV off and don't watch another game till Jalen is gone. Come on, Dirty D. Don't tell someone how to be a fan just because they don't agree with you. All right, here we go. I think I got everybody. Scott Squad, Quinyon pick coming today. And I got a few Quinyon Mitchell jerseys to give away if he does that this week. All right, so make sure everybody's tuned in. Keep Washington offense off the field and we win. Good stuff there. And Schmidt Degler, expect a lot of Jalix Hunt today. Secret weapon. Schmidt, interesting take there, brother. We'll see how it all plays out. You guys were excellent on the show today. I thought we had a great show, man. I thought we really did. I was unfortunate with John, but we had our opens and our initial breakdowns. We talked about key matchups and X factors. We had John live from the link for a couple bit. We had predictions and bold takes on the game, and then we had fan interaction and our final thoughts with you guys. So it was excellent stuff. And I want to reread you. I don't normally, let me tell you guys, I don't normally script my open, okay? I do not normally script my open for a pregame show. I did script my open for this pregame show, and I want to read it back to you one more time before we go, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. Welcome to the NFC Championship, JAKIB Nation. The Philadelphia Eagles are one win away from the Super Bowl, and standing in their way is the Washington Commanders, led by rookie sensation Jayden Daniels. The energy at Lincoln Financial Field is palpable and electric. The stakes could not be higher. And for the next 90 minutes, we've got you covered with everything you need before kickoff. Buckle up, because this is the biggest game of the season, and it starts right now. I love it, everybody. I'm jacked up for this football game. We're about 12 minutes away from the network coverage starting. I have it on back there. I don't know what time kickoff will be. Have they released what time kickoff will be? It might be like a 3:20 kickoff, but the network coverage will start in about 12 minutes. So get yourself ready, everybody. Grab your drink, grab your food, go to the bathroom, do whatever you got to do, because we're all going to be geared up to watch this one. We appreciate everybody checking in today. Appreciate both Dan Sileo, host of the National Football Show, 1987 national champion, and a legend for the Miami Hurricanes, joining the show today, and John McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. Great job by both of those guys today. And don't forget to go and give me a follow over on X. I'll be live tweeting the game like crazy. All right, at Real Zander. Give me a follow over there, and I'll follow all you guys back. So big thanks to everybody for checking in today, and we'll see you on the halftime and the postgame show. Coming up, everybody, enjoy the NFC Championship game, and fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds, everybody.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.